Let's look at creating a wobble-style bass sound and using some host automation in the process. Now, I have an initialized patch. I loaded in a sound source here, and I have some plugins in the rack, which we're going to get to in a moment. I've programmed up a really simple part, which just has some dotted half notes and quarter notes. Here's what it sounds like. Like that. Let's tweak our sound here. I'm going to turn the filter on. All right, now I want to modulate it. I'm going to modulate it with LFO. So far, nothing new here. I have a new routing that we have set up, and I'm going to set it up from here. I'm going to go filter cutoff, and let's start with this. Okay, I'm going to put in sync. Okay, not bad. Now what I want to do is I want to modulate the rate movement. And it's always being modulated by musically rhythmic values, so it should be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here. Actually, before I do that, let me hide this for a moment. And in an initialized multi, let me show you how the automation appears within the host DAW, in this case Logic Pro 9. If I click on the automation lane and go under Trillion, by default we have part level automation for the 8 parts, and that's it. So let's bring this back, and I'm going to right click and go enable host automation. And now, if I hide this and look here, we'll see a new parameter appear under Trillion, and there's our LFO2 rate. So I can draw it in with this, or I can mouse the knob. I think I'm going to mouse the knob for now for fun. So let's change our automation mode here to latch. This might be different in your DAW, but the principles are generally pretty universal. And I'm going to hit play and record my fader movement, or my knob movement in this case. Okay, so let's hide that, and you'll see the automation that I wrote there. I'm going to take it out of latch mode and put it into read mode, and we'll see and hear it now as it plays back, and we'll see the knob move in real time. Let's look at automating some plugins now. So that's working nicely. I'm going to go to our effects rack, and I have in layer A couple of plugins called up, and I put them in layer A because I want to automate them. Although in the common rack I could automate them with host automation. Here I can automate them with other modulation sources, although in this case I think I'm going to use host automation. Let's turn on this flame distortion plugin and see what kind of effects we can get from this. So I think I want to modulate this. I'm going to right click, enable host automation, hide it for a moment, create another automation lane, and now we'll see a new parameter appear here under Trillion. And there we go. And again, I think I'll put this into latch mode and then just draw it in again with the mouse movement. All right, that works for me, and there's the automation. Let's go back to read. Now, if you're wondering, why did I automate this parameter directly, but in the edit page, I didn't automate the cutoff directly, I automated the LFO rate instead. The reason I did that is because I want, when it's at the slower rate, I still want the shape of the sine wave being used. In fact, if I play this back and change shapes here, we'll probably hear a subtle difference, particularly when the rate is low. So I'm getting the best of both worlds by automating this. I'm getting my free automation, and yet when it's slower, still getting the benefits of this cyclical nature of the sine wave shape. Let's listen back, and I want to boost the resonance a bit. Let's try putting solo and glide on and see how that affects things. So we have a bit of glide happening. Let's increase the rate a bit. And we see that moving as well. One last thing, let's put on our retro flanger. And I think I'll automate that as well. Right click, host automation. And let's create an additional lane for it, although I don't even really need to in Logic. I can just hit play and start doing it right away. And that's it. Let's hide this, and I'll create the additional lane and call up the additional parameter. There it is. And there's the automation, although it didn't get captured. And that's because I had it in read mode. Let's do that again. Latch mode. It would have been captured had it been in latch mode. There we go. Let's hide that. And there's our automation. Let's option click to close that up. And we can hear our monstrosity now. I kind of strayed from the idea of a wobble baseline, but this is part of the fun of working with these plugins in Trillion. You can really let your imagination and creativity guide you. So let's listen to our monstrosity. And if you want to see the host automation at a glance, what you can do is go under the utility menu and under here, go show current assignments. And it calls up in your web browser a page showing all the assignments for this multi. So we see here CC10 messages for pan and level. And these are host automation. These are just hardwired into the multi. And our additional ones should appear at the bottom. Here they go. The post filter, host automation ID 9 for the parameter for the depth. ID 10 and the LFO rate ID 8, and the order I did them in, 8, 9, and 10 actually. So there you go. That's a little overview of using host automation in Trillion. See you for more in the next video.